So welcome everybody who joined the Auctiva webinar this afternoon. I'm quite excited. We've got Lance Moseley with us, who is a eBay Live host. And I'll just jump right in. We've got a pretty large team. So from eBay, we have Rebecca Tran, who's going to speak directly about the eBay Live program. And that's kind of the theme for this afternoon is eBay Live, how to do it, what it takes. So we're going to take a really in-depth dive into eBay Live and talk about the back end of it. Lance is going to kind of give us a day in the life. And then Justin Johnson from the third-party team. So he's kind of our partner in crime to help Auctiva in the relationship with eBay. As I mentioned, Lance Moseley, he's live with us from Florida, I believe, today. And then from the Auctiva team, we've got a number of folks here. Myself, Richard Starr, CEO, as well as Todd Lusby, our COO, Silvia, Nate, and John from our product management team, customer support, and marketing. So if you have questions, at the top of the screen, there's a Q&A button. Both John and Nate will be monitoring that. So if you have a support question related to eBay or Auctiva, they can answer it. And then if you have a question for Rebecca, myself, or Justin, or really anybody on the call, at the end of the session, we're going to have a Q&A, and John will MC that based on the questions in the channel. So again, Q&A at the top. So just a quick run through of the agenda. So again, introductions we've already done. Then Rebecca's got a great presentation about eBay Live and what's going on there, and she'll walk us through that. And then Lance and I are just going to have a kind of an open dialogue on what it's like to be an eBay host and what it really takes. As I mentioned, Lance has done several hundred shows, so I'm sure he's learned a few things along the way. And then at the end, we'll have John MC a kind of a fireside chat that will ask questions of eBay, of Lance, and of the Auctiva team. So it should be a pretty interactive hour. I did want to start out, this is not a sales pitch for Auctiva, but some people go, well, why are there third-party applications? And I want to frame it that many sellers start with eBay, and they start with a mobile app, or they start with the desktop app. And then as they graduate into a large listing count, maybe you have tens of items, but then you end up with hundreds or thousands of items. That's when we find that many sellers start to need more assistance in managing those listings, and to be able to do bulk uploads, to be able to do CSV imports. And those things are not easy on like the mobile app. And Justin, I've talked about it in the past. The eBay mobile app is fantastic. I use it to sell stuff all the time. I know if I buy a new iPhone, almost before I pick up my new one, I've snapped a photo and sold my old one through eBay. I think we talked on the last webinar, we moved Auctiva to a new data center, and I sold the old servers on eBay, right? So, and all of those were me in a warehouse with the iPhone. But that works great on different size sellers, and that's where our really third-party tools like Auctiva help sellers scale to be able to manage their listings. And it's really about listing count, inventory count, and it also can matter how many channels you sell on and syncing that inventory between multiple channels. So we just want to help educate sellers that there is a place and time where third-party applications can help augment some of the capabilities of eBay, depending on where you are in your seller journey. So happy to answer more questions about that, but that's the end of my seller plug related to Auctiva. As I mentioned in the Q&A, I don't think I've been to an event with eBay sellers where somebody doesn't ask a question about their own account. Obviously, we can't help you with your own account on the call, but if you message in QA or you go to Auctiva.com and submit a support case, Nate and his team can help you get to the right answer if we can't get to it as part of the Q&A today. But any questions you have related to eBay Live, Auctiva, or selling on eBay in general, I'm pretty sure we have the professionals available here to answer most of those questions. I've shared, I think Todd and I have been working together for 20 years. I think we've collectively sold $500 million on eBay over the years. So we've done a bit of selling. So we know what enterprise selling looks like, and happy to help answer your questions. So this was Rebecca's idea. I wanted to start out with what is eBay Live, and because many folks haven't seen it. So I'm just actually going to drag in a separate screen to share. So this was one of Lance's, and actually I'll start backwards. If you go to eBay Live or ebay.com today, eBay Live is pretty prevalent on the site. You can see these live sellers, folks are selling. You can see how many folks are engaged in these live productions where folks are selling stuff. And if you click on the eBay Live button, it takes you to all of the live events that are going, the categories of live events that are happening. And this was one of Lance's recent shows. We won't run the whole show, but I wanted to show where Lance is actually selling. Lance, if you want to just give us a little backdrop on this before we get into it.
This is Yellowstone products, accessories. We did jackets, pullovers, sweatshirts, vests, you name it. We bought it in a super large quantity. We took a risk when the Yellowstone new season wasn't picked up yet. And we picked up all of this Yellowstone, basically a semi truck of it. And we sold it over 4 or 5 months. So we had lots and lots of clothing to sell. And people came to us because we gave so much quantity of clothing at such a great price for other people to resell it. So this is one of my episodes on selling Yellowstone. We're finally out of it, and then I go by the name 2 Chains with my 2 money chains is kind of my theme for my hosting online.
So I'm going to just play 30 seconds of this so you guys can see a live show of Lance selling. And I'm going to turn the sound on.
Right into it. 3-pack, double XL, 3 of them. 3 double XL. 1, 2, 3 triple XL. First one. 6 shirts, double and triple XL. Good way to get the show going. Number 1. Wow. Right again.
So we'll pause there. What you just saw was Lance packaged an item up. It's a 9-second bid where folks have the ability to bid. Before you get into an eBay Live listing, you have to have an approved payment. It's a very fast process. And so in this case, the first item, it didn't sell. But Lance will repost it, reshuffle it. And we're going to get into that of what he's doing on the back end of how this comes together. But I want to give you just a quick view of what an eBay Live event looks like. And now we're going to jump into the back end of it. So before we do that, I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca that's going to give us the status of eBay Live. And then we're going to bring Lance back to talk about how it all works on the back end.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rebecca Tran, and I'm the Senior Business Development Manager here at eBay Live. And my job is to vet sellers like yourselves for our platform. So I'd love to chat with you about eBay Live. Shopping is more effective when it's live. You know, buyers are not just looking at a listing. They can see a product in real time and ask questions about that product. And that gives sellers a better way to show their inventory, build trust, and from the start. For Auctiva sellers, Live is a practical way of making inventory work harder and create a more dynamic buying experience. Next. Now, live commerce matters because buyer behavior is already moving that way. I mean, we can see that global live commerce is expected to reach 3.7 trillion by 2030. And nearly 60% of Americans have tuned into a live shopping show, with 33% having made a purchase. Next. Live does more than just create attention. It drives stronger results. The key points here is that you get 10 times more engagement, 10 times more engagement than a standard video. And the click-through rates are between 8 to 20%. You'll see 5 to 15% conversion and a 40% lower return rate. Now, buyers are more confident because they can see the product, hear the explanation, and ask questions again in real time. That helps move them from being interested to purchasing faster and with fewer surprises afterwards. Next. eBay Live sits on top of a real marketplace scale. eBay has 135 million active buyers worldwide, 16 million enthusiast buyers globally, 2.5 billion live listings, and that's through 190 global markets. For Auctiva sellers, that means Live connects into an existing ecosystem of demand, discovery, and category passion. Buyers are already here. Next. Now, collectibles are already a strong fit for Live because the buyer demand is there. More than 75% of US collectible buyers have purchased 1 to 3 items in Q4 2025. And we saw Superman searches, 2.3 thousand searches per hour. And over 470% blind boxes were sold. So that tells us that the category already has discovery, fandom, urgency, and storytelling all built in. Next. Now, Live is a strong format for categories like sports memorabilia, which I'm super passionate about. Collectibles is what I take care of in terms of when I vet sellers, but we have categories throughout. So with sports memorabilia, that's where inventory is often unique, higher value, and is more authenticity sensitive. Now, buyers want more than a static listing. When an item carries condition, provenance, and story-driven value, that's where it's pretty exciting. Live lets sellers show an item clearly, explain why it is special, and provides the context that supports the price. That makes the format especially effective when the item benefits from demonstration, explanation, and real-time interaction. Next. This also applies to trading cards. Now, trading cards show the community side of Live. This is not only about showing an item, it's also about creating real-time connection with the buyers who are already passionate about the category. Sellers can tell their story, show their personality, show their expertise, and build that following over time. Now, the goal is to turn viewers into repeat buyers by making the experience feel more personal and more interactive. Next. We also offer luxury items. So pre-loved and luxury fashion is another strong fit. 85% of US fashion buyers have purchased 1 to 3 items in Q3 2025. Dior searches over 52 searches a minute globally. And we found that there was also a major spike in interest searches tied to a cultural relevance around the Santos de Mosel watch. Now, that's something that Taylor Swift was tied into. So we saw an uptick in searches related to this watch. Now, the takeaway for sellers is that Live works well when inventory benefits, again, from storytelling, authenticity, condition detail, and trend-driven demand. Next. Why trust matters for sneakers on eBay Live? Well, for sneakers, trust is a big part of what drives conversion. Buyers need confidence when they're purchasing higher consideration items, and eBay gives that with a strong foundation to build from. The marketplace already offers buyer and seller protections, as you may know, global reach, support systems to help reduce friction. Now, eBay Authenticity Guarantee reinforces buyer confidence, so sellers are using Live on top of a marketplace that buyers already know and trust. Now, we offer authenticity guarantee across several categories, including sneakers, luxury handbags, jewelry, trading cards, and watches. Next. Now, sellers don't have to do this alone. Now, eBay supports visibility before, during, and after a show. Now, that includes tentpole moments, weekly events, promotions, homepage banners, eBay banners, recap reels, editorial reel posts. Now that matters because getting seen is a big part of what makes live work. The support around the show is just part of the value. Now, we also want you to bring your followers to eBay so we can build something special together. Next. I want to thank you for your time. The main point I want to leave you with is that eBay gives Auctiva sellers a way to combine marketplace demand, product storytelling, and buyer trust all in one place. The opportunity is to start focused and use the categories that benefit most from demonstration and connection and build from there. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. And as to just remind folks, I think Justin and John are working it. If you have questions for Rebecca, we'll circle back at the end as part of our fireside. There's a link at the top of your screen for Q&A. Just drop your question in there. All right, so next I'm just going to talk a little bit about Lance, and then Lance will have a little bit of a conversation here. So I think, we've been working together for a while, and I think you've done a couple hundred shows. Like, when did you start doing eBay Live shows?
eBay Live we started last year. So Hayes Direct, the company I work with, they got on eBay around 2018, and then were put into the program last year. So after they started doing eBay, they needed some hosts with some pizzazz, and lo and behold, the Lance was there to solve that problem. And I had no idea it was really there yet, and I think it's just awesome.
That's fantastic. And as you guys, he said pizzazz. If you check out what's at Lance from LA, his website.
LanceFromLA.com. Lance
So
from LA. It'll show you the history of Lance, all of I've been doing this for years. So for me to be able to have another platform and to be able to make money at it and sell, it's fabulous, because this didn't really exist 5-6 years ago, and it's a great outlet.
Where did you start selling? So I think you did some TV infomercials or selling online prior to eBay Live.
That's what I always tell people. I go to LanceFromLA.com. It's easier to explain. I went to school to be a TV show host. That's what I did in college. I was the guy, and I got hired to sell jewelry and products it was the Ultimate Shopping Network. And at the time, that was where on cable TV, DirecTV had a bunch of channels, QVC, HSN. They were all kind of the same. And after the 2008 housing crash, people weren't spending money on jewelry and stuff. So just a couple actually made it out of there, and we folded. But we were in the 26th floor of the Nakatomi building, which is where they shot Die Hard, the first Die Hard. And when they blew out the window of Die Hard for that whole big scene, that's where they ended up years later putting our studio. So my view is overlooking all of LA. So that was my start, and I've done just so many different hosting gigs over the years, and I'll just add this to the resume.
Fantastic. So I think we included, Lance, some videos. I'm going to move to the next slide, and if you want to, this was your studio. You want to prep this before I click over? Yeah.
So Hayes Direct right now sits on 43 acres, and it sits with 6 giant, what you would think are movie studios. And before we took over the property right when COVID was hitting, and it used to be where they built boats. So these warehouses are massive. And when they first started selling on eBay Live, we were bringing in so much product that there's stuff all over these warehouses that we're cleaning out to see exactly what was in them. And they are just massive. So this is kind of give you an idea of where I work, the studio inside of the actual warehouses.
Excellent. So I'm just going to play the video for the folks. This is the Lance's studio, and kind of walks you through his setup. Lance, I'm going to back up and pause this real quick. Is I was looking at your screen setup, see if I can grab it. You had a TV and a laptop. Can you just walk us through what's displaying on that while you're doing your show?
Yeah, so that is an Apple iPad that we feed into the TV, which goes into our computer, and that's how we'll transmit everything on. So I'll actually be able to watch myself on the Apple, and then I'll also be able to make sure it's set up, and then I'll run it and start it up live. Then we'll have our chats come over on the right side after I let them into the room, and the left side, that's where you'll see all of the how many items we're going to sell for the day. We like to go about 100 to 150, 200. Just, we know people are coming in and out, but we lose a lot of the people that like to watch like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. It just depends on the product. But that's kind of my setup. So I come in, I got two of my lights on each side, air conditioner going on because we are in a warehouse, so it does get warm in there. And that's kind of the setup. I got my raised table, so if I'm doing a show where I want to be close to the camera, we're doing watches, Tonedo Lamborghini watches last year. You go to eBay and pull up Tonedo Lamborghini watch, most likely you bought them from me and are reselling them. So I could raise my table up and down, and it's a really great setup. I can move that camera around if I actually wanted to take it around, if I had a longer cord going into my TV and actually have shown people the warehouses during my show. But that's next level, so we'll see what happens.
And so, Lance, and it's new to me. I haven't obviously hosted. So, what are you prepping? I guess you have 100 auctions ready to go. Like, what's the prep that you're doing on eBay prior to the actual event?
So I like to get there about an hour early. I look this as being as professional as being on TV. I like to come in, I like to prep, I like to get organized. We have producers that actually will put the shows together. So I don't even ask. I just come in and I'm like, all right, what are we doing today? Because I also like to be surprised. It's great when we get general merchandise. We'll buy as much possible general merchandise as we can so that our team then will break it down and unload it. We have a store called the Bin Spot, and that's where we sell tons of items during the week. It's like $6 on a Friday. We open $5, $4, $3. But all of the better stuff that we can make more money, they take it and then we'll simulate it into, all right, we're going to put this here, this here, this here, and we'll do shows that way. As I was saying, like Tonedo Lamborghini watches, we bought them more in a mass quantity where it took us months and months to sell. Also like the Yellowstone. So I'll come in, I'll meet with the production team and what they're putting together. Then I'll go into my office, I'll set up, or my studio. I'll go ahead and set the camera, get everything up live. It's ready to go. I can watch that I'm actually live. I'll wheel in all of my product. Sometimes I have to number the bags. Sometimes they're stickered. It just depends what item it is. And that's why I love it so much, because I love it when we always get new product and general merchandise in. When you have to sell Sea-Doo and Ski-Doo for 5 or 6 months, it's funny to see people not kind of get it at first, and then they see how much the value it is. And then we'll have a whole town buying from us, and they're like, Lance, our whole small town all wears Ski-Doo now. Since you're there, you could probably come and be a mayor. I'm like, I'll be there. So what really makes it fun is product, and always bringing in new product, because the people that follow me and show up just to say hi, it really makes you feel good.
And I'll pivot a little bit. You mentioned some products. So I assume you've had some product that have done very well, and you have some that hasn't done as well as probably you hoped. Like what made the difference was it price? Is it the product? Like, can you talk through what's been successful?
So that's what's really great. When something's not selling well, that's where I get to come in with the team, and we get creative, and we're like, what are we going to do to move this product out of here? Because a lot of times what happens is we'll first sell it. Like, for example, we got a whole shipment of Target stuff. I mean, I'm talking beyond belief. It was so much that I would sell it in the whole case pack. So you would buy a box, I would open up and show you what's in there. And it would be 24 white V-neck t-shirts in whatever size. We would start the bid for $1. It would go for however much it went. Then after we've done case packs so much with all these different shoes, shirts, sweaters, jackets, hats, jewelry, you name it, we were selling these case packs, and we started realizing, okay, we've been doing this so much that we've really kind of saturated people coming for these case packs. So we started to want to bring in newer viewers. So what we did is we started putting everything kind of behind me, and I would actually build a bag of product, and it would be Lance's random products. I'm just putting it in there. I'd start the bid, and then if people were bidding, I would tease them and put more stuff in it. Certain times it just wouldn't sell, 100, 150 items. Sometimes it's just a glitch. Some people are like, oh, run it again. I missed that one, and set it aside. Same thing with like selling all of the Yellowstone. And there was so much product when the season 7 got picked up for Yellowstone. It was like gold for us, because we were sitting on product going, yeah, Yellowstone's cool, but how in the heck are we ever going to sell this much product? The new season got picked up. I pitched that like nobody's business. Season 7 starting in April. Best time to get this product. It's $20 retail on each t-shirt. Starting these bid at $3. So as we saturated that out, I started going, man, we've made our money. We've made more we could ever imagine from this trailer of product. We're taking a big chance on these. You've got to sell it for months and months to recoup your money. But once you do, then it's like, we've made so much money back on this. This is where people can come and like, absolutely, I like to say it, even though it's not, rip us off. You come buy from us, turn around and resell it. So I just, like you saw on that Yellowstone, I put as many shirts in, like that first one didn't sell. I immediately go start another bid, and I'm stuffing it with shirts. And so we've really learned that it doesn't matter what the product is, I'm going to sell it and I'm going to get it out of our shelves. And sometimes that just has to mean like, all right, I got a hairdryer here, and it looks like I'm going to be putting it with a dog toy and some stockings. And I'll just put it in until it sells. And people love it. You will be so amazed when you have this bag of just random stuff that I keep filling it, and it goes 30, 40, 50, 80, $100. Just like, and I'm cracking up. So we're always being creative. That's the number one thing for our success.
Well, I think, Rebecca, this is a little bit to you. I think I remembered at eBay Live, one of the problems was while Lance is selling and he's holding a trading card or a box, somebody goes, well, what do you want for that hat you're wearing? I'll buy that. And then people were going, well, how do I create a new item on eBay to go, well, I didn't think that was for sale. And well, sure.
You just label it and you put that as the next lot. Yeah,
Yes.
You just label it. You don't have to have preset items. You can build a show through, the whole show can be preset. But I think the most successful hosts, they kind of see what the audience is looking for. What's that behind you? What's that purple box? What's that, on the shelf over there? Okay, that'll be next up. And then hopefully your producer. And don't think that you need a big production team. You can have just a helper. I had a father-daughter team. The daughter read the chat, and the dad, he was the content expert.
And so Lance was thinking, so do you remember your first show? Like what has changed from that first show till now?
Well, what we've done is we really streamlined it. The biggest thing has been the change in the market on getting product, because a lot of people have jumped in to being really recognizing that there's money to be made here. So we've had to do a lot more searching for really good product, and then the price goes up too. So I've really noticed, when I first started, my first shows were just, and we're also on Whatnot. So when I started over there, getting the hang of it, going, this is amazing. There's no barriers to what we can do. And then when I started, I just love eBay even more, their platform, but getting over here and the freedom after I got it on how I wanted to keep advancing the show. I really like my show. I think I'm on TV. I think this is a high-end production. I want it to be as cool as I can make it for one person. I do music and stuff before I come in. So I've really evolved it. The 2 chains, the character, really getting into it, because you only have one chance when people pass you by on your channel. You might have an item they do or don't like, but they're clicking on you because they also like your personality, and they'll be like, what, I'm going to come see this guy again. He's got a good vibe, and I like what he's bringing to the table, because then I always can bring him something different. So I've seen just the scope of followers coming into play more, and then just trying to take the channel to the next level.
Excellent. So we have two other videos. I want to pivot back to the videos. What I think you guys shared is maybe the audio wasn't coming through. So Lance, what I'll get you to do is just give some voiceover while the video is playing. So I'll move to the next slide and let you. I'll keep here. So you guys aren't hearing that. So Lance, I'm going to actually mute it and then let you talk through what this video is. Okay.
Okay. Great. So this is outside of the studio, which is really huge. You can see all of the different blue buildings. Those are our warehouses. It goes back as far as you can imagine. This is the far end of the whole studio. You look through it. So every day I'm pulling, or every show I'm pulling in those big Amazon Primes. Those are where all of my products are. And I can go in, I put them in the studio. I wheel them all in myself after my production teams put them together. Wheel them all in, and they'll have them set up how they want me to sell it, or it'll be just tons of t-shirts, and I can put them in all those bags right there. That's what I do. Lance packing bags. I'm packing happiness. I put them in those bags. We set them up numbered. So Bob goes and gets the 13th, 15th, and 19th item. Our production team can just pack those 3 items into the shipping, and they can actually start shipping as soon as my show's over. They can start working on getting that shipping out as fast as possible. The garage, when it's nice out, fantastic. That's where we're doing all our shipping. UPS, National or United Mail Service, they all come right there, pallets at a time, and we'll ship them right out. I walk right into my studio. I keep the doors open so everybody can hear how loud I am, which I'm very loud. And the studio, or the warehouse, it's basically like a football field in there. And so it looks like there's not a lot in there, but when you come in there, you're just like, look at all this stuff. I'm like a kid in a candy store when all the new product comes in.
And you might have said this earlier. So in a 1 hour show or 2 hour show, how many packages are you moving on an average show?
Yeah, we like to do 100 to 200. I like 150 to 100, good soft spot. Really then becomes down to product. We're doing a higher end product. We get the bids going longer. We have the bids start up higher. When we're doing a product that we've been selling for months, and we know we're like, oh, we're going to be doing the show quite a few times this week. Let's keep the excitement high. Try to get out of there at 100 items. You know, because sometimes really it's just waiting on the next load of product. You've got to really do their due diligence on getting us product that's good, that we want to sell, to keep a good brand going. Because when we sell great items like Ski-Doo, Sea-Doo, the Tonito Lamborghini watches, the Yellowstone, people want to see that. So, you know, our team's really challenged to always bring in good items.
And I'm going to ask and I've done some watching the videos. Are all of these sales, are they all auctions? So is it 100% auctions, or what are there format options?
There are options. We pretty much stick with this one working for us. Our shows sell, so we just always go with the live auction. I mean, if we start it for $1, we're going to sell it. And if I pack it, we're selling it anyway. So what's really nice is the retailers that come and can get wholesale from us, and really they're the best place to shop, because you just cannot get any amount of stuff that you get from us anywhere else. But we're fortunate enough to have a big enough space to get so much product that we make our money back and we can pass it off at the lowest price. So we stick with the auctions right now. We know there are other options out there. We might try them, but this one works for us.
This may be for Justin or Rebecca. So what are the option formats in eBay live selling? So it looks like you have a auction, and is there a time frame? Like, do you control that like you do in normal auctions, that you have 7-day, 30-day? What are your options on eBay Live?
We do have buy it now features. So, you know, some of the luxury handbag sellers, that would be a perfect example where, you know, they have days where they're just doing dollar starts and sell it from there. And then other days it's buy it now prices. So they'll show the item and then put the price out there. Of course, they will take offers, you know, so $2,400 handbag, and they're willing to take $2,100. And we're talking about even some handbags in the $10,000s of dollars. I'm really, really surprised how crazy it's been with the luxury space. But there are different formats. We even have some exciting things because we do not allow gambling. We do not allow spin the wheel. type of formats like our competitor offers. And so we want to, because we want to keep it a family-friendly environment. We also don't allow profanity on our platform. But penny starts, penny drops are super popular. Sometimes people come in, they'll go, "What are you offering for free?" Well, we don't have that, but we do offer penny drops. So people will bid. And that's the exciting part of it, right, Lance? It's like people want to participate, and then they want to know when the next one is. But hey, in between, they're buying things. So they're not walking away just trying to participate in that, but they end up becoming a buyer.
And what are the, in the auctions, what are the length of time options on the auctions?
Sometimes it's like a 10-second drop. So like 10 seconds, and then they'll start the bid. And then if someone bids on the item, it resets the clock to 10 seconds. So as long as they have an active bidder.
Extended bid process. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And Lance, you guys have seen, you've used auctions and what you've done on the liquidation product, it sounds like.
Yeah, we do the auction, and she's right on with the 10 and 10 second. You'll be amazed on some of those, and that's where your length of the show goes. I can blow through 100 products on quicker bids, but you get some bids going, and you're getting the Tonino Lamborghini watches. There's were thousands and thousands of dollar watches, and there were some baller watch guys that must have bought hundreds of watches from me, and so those bids will go on and on for a bit. I mean, you can be like, all right, I'll be back in 5. Come back and they're still bidding. So, it really is up to your product. And like Rebecca's saying, we were doing these Canuck $1,000 men's and women's winter jackets, 35 below $1,000 jackets. We started those bids at $100, and people are, $200-$300. You're seeing them all over eBay also. And, people are walking away with $1,000 jacket. Where's the last place you get a $1,000 jacket for, just over $100? You can't. It's 95% off, if not more. And, it gets exciting on these bids. I'm like, the biggest problem, I think the whole thing has nothing to do with eBay. It's the shipping cost. It costs to move stuff. It's expensive. And people complain more on shipping than anything else. I'm like, you paid less than you're paying for shipping, and this product's worth $1,000. I don't want to hear it, Todd. This is the way it's going to happen.
And speaking of shipping, one thing to remember is, as a seller, you can set the shipping, and your shipping can be different than the way you have it on eBay Core. You can have a different eBay Live shipping policy. And so maybe like the first item is $9.95 and every additional item is $1. But maybe on your eBay Core site or your traditional store, you might have everything $15.95, let's say. So you can have a different shipping policy.
And that's what we do. We do first one is set item, repeat buys, we drop it. So they're always getting a good deal.
Excellent. So we have one more video, Lance. If we'll play this for folks, and then we'll wrap up with a few more questions. So if you'll just MC this one for us.
Yeah, so I'm trying to give you a better look of that. So those are the racks right there, and you just see I pick one up. Number 1 goes here, number 2 goes here, and then I'll wheel those when they're first started. I'll wheel them in here, like with all the shirts, and I'll come walking in there. That when I do my show, you'll see, like you did the first one with Yellowstone, I try to make it look really nice and warm and full of a lot of stuff. And yeah, that's basically it. My warehouse. Look, I see when your shipment's going out. I see when they're packing it. So it's a pretty nice little cozy, it could be a little man cleaned up, but other than that, the studio itself, it's nothing overly crazy, but it does the job of what we're looking to do, and that's sell some product.
Excellent. I think that's very helpful to give folks an idea of the setup there. I had one more question, and then we'll pivot to let John MC some questions from the audience. Have you seen, or has Hayes Direct seen, a lift in their overall eBay business with live? So I just saw when we were looking at your video earlier, you had 40,000 feedback, so a pretty healthy store. So do they see a adjacent sale, or how do they tie live into their other eBay selling?
Yeah, eBay Live has been just massive for. I mean, obviously, I got a job out of it because now it opened up another opportunity. And it just takes that stagnant away from like, all right, you have an eBay store, but how are we getting everybody there? the live has just absolutely blown it up. I mean, I can't tell you what we're doing for our next step, but we're moving next level. So we've got some really big plans going on. So it's doing very well. We'll be hiring some other hosts later in the fall, which they'll audition and train through me. So that will be cool. And always love training new talent. So yeah, we've seen the growth. They see how important it is having a good host that can sell, because they went through tons and tons of hosts to get somebody that is really good at, like you said, reading the room, reading the chats, getting people that are familiar with you to come back, even if they're not buying. And so, we've got a good thing going for sure.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate it. Lance, we've always had good conversations. This was, I think, a great behind the scenes view. Certainly, I've got a better understanding of live. I don't think I'm going to rock the 2 chains, though. I think that's for you. But what we're going to do now is we're going to transition into just more of a broad QA. I think, John, you've been collecting questions from the audience, so I'll turn it over to you to MC from here.
Yeah, thanks, Rich. And you guys still have a chance to throw anything into the QA section if you have anything else that we want to get to. Excuse me, as we go through this. I think the first one I'm going to direct this to Rebecca and potentially Justin, however you guys want to address this, is we had 2 or 3 questions around, let's just make it more broad, more general. Hey, I want to get started on eBay Live. What does that look like for me as either a new seller or a seller who's been on eBay and wants to get started doing eBay Live?
Yeah, definitely. We talk to all types of sellers, whether or not they're existing eBay sellers or not. Definitely having a strong follower feedback and also the number of items sold will definitely be key with us, because we don't want you to have a negative feedback. We don't want you to be below what we call below standard. So you definitely want to be above standard or higher as a rating if you're an eBay seller. And definitely having that having followers, definitely having a social media. Well, I shouldn't say definitely. Social media following is important because we're working together to build something special, right? So we want to bring your followers. We'll have buyers, 135 million buyers, active buyers on eBay, but we don't want you just to turn on your show, right? I mean, you're building a following like Lance has built a following. People know when to tune in, right? He's on there regularly. People, they schedule their day around his show, right? It's like, let me go get dinner really quick so I can catch Lance's show. You want to build a following. It's just like your favorite program, right? You want to plan for that. So what are we looking for? We want you to have a good business practice, right? So if you're selling on another platform, let us know that. If you have social media handles out there, let us know that. And just go ahead and apply through the link here, and I will have myself or one of our members of our team get in touch with you. We'll have a dialogue about it. Love to chat with you.
And for all the folks on the phone, we will send out a email following the meeting with any relevant links, whether that to be Lance as a host, if you're interested, or to sign up for interest in eBay Live. So you don't have to worry about capturing the link now. We will send a follow-up email to folks.
And I'm going to actually turn this question into one for Lance, but Lance, you're going to have to wait for a second because I'm going to put it back on you, Rebecca. The other kind of questions that have come up are, what differentiates eBay Live from other platforms that offer kind of this live selling thing, like, we'll just say it out loud, Whatnot, or things like Poshmark or Mercari that have a similar type of selling system, similar type of product offering? What makes eBay Live the answer?
We hear a lot that eBay. Oh, go ahead, Rebecca. I'm sorry, ladies before gentlemen.
Thank you. We've been around since 1995. Name a company that's been around with a strong marketplace presence than eBay Live. I mean, I remember when they came on the platform. I used to work for one of the third-party grading services, 33 years worked over there. And let me tell you, I remember when eBay came aboard, right? And for them to be in this space for 30 years to be a trusted platform is huge. And that's what we offer over the competitors, definitely. That's something that we offer. And then when we work with our sellers, if you're at $1 million or more a year, you'll get an account manager that's going to be working with you. I can tell you with the other platforms, sellers have come to me and say, I'm just a nobody over there. And I do so much. I bring in so much volume. But guess what? You're going to have an account manager that's going to help you grow on eBay. So we have a more personal touch, I think. We've built a pretty strong team on the eBay Live side. And so we're here to help you grow. We're to help you build your business.
So what I think I heard you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that eBay has an established trust piece with sellers in general, and not just sellers, also in buyers. And I think that's a really, really important part. So while there's a lot of these new companies to the game, and no disrespect to them because I think they're doing a great job, eBay has done this for a long time. eBay has the respect of their buyers and their sellers, and that's what makes eBay Live such a compelling part of what we're trying to offer as both Auctiva and as eBay together.
Absolutely. Well said.
Thank you. Lance, do you have anything to add to that from your perspective?
Yeah, from my perspective, it really is. What's great are the policies that eBay has in place, because like if we mess up an order, we don't care. We're always going to take care of it. We're like, get a hold of customer service. We're always good at taking care of everything. The return policies, everybody says great stuff about eBay and they like to watch a show. If they like eBay, then it's going to be more people watching our show. So the support of everybody feels confident on buying from us. That's awesome. You know, if anybody has an issue, you'll see my other people that follow me chatting. They're like, just, you know, Lance is here to sell. Just go ahead and get customer service. They'll take care of it. They take care of everybody, you know, and it's like, all right, I'm back on. So I think the best thing is them taking care of their part of what they should be doing. And they do it very well. And our job is to sell and take care of our customers.
Thanks, Lance. I think one of the things that has differentiated Auctiva over the years is how integrated we are with eBay and how deeply we've been connected with them. Rich, I'm going to throw this question over to you now that you've taken a drink. You know, how do you feel that we are supporting our eBay customers and what they could potentially do with eBay Live?
Well, excuse me. There's a couple areas. One is what we were talking about with Lance is when you have your eBay Live and then you've got your store behind you, you know, having that inventory, that long tail of inventory live with best offers, buy it nows, as you're building that audience, is maintaining that larger catalog and keeping it consistent so you're growing that following. I think the other thing is we also can facilitate the shipment of the orders. It's pulling in orders, whether it be from your live selling or your eBay store, and helping you fulfill those items faster. So I think Auctiva in general, as we shared earlier, is a scaling tool that a lot of what you can do within the eBay application is great until you hit a certain velocity, and then you start to need some more tooling, some more assistance. So I think what Auctiva does, it allows you to scale beyond those initial steps into becoming a medium or a larger size business.
Thanks, Rich. And also, we've had a number of really nice questions come in over the last few minutes. I'm going to try and get to all of them before we run out of time. So let's see here. So one of the questions, this came from Ralph. Does eBay provide updates when they add new categories to Live? Justin, I don't know if that's for you or Rebecca.
When we add more categories, is that what you said? We actually have. I'm sorry,
okay,
go ahead.
So I'm not exactly totally sure what the question is pertaining to in terms of whether or not it's like an email update or whatever, but does eBay provide updates when they do add new categories? So is it clear to sellers that they can now do these things on Live as well?
For Live, we have something called new verticals. So we are expanding and have expanded ever since, I want to say, November of last year, into electronics, health and beauty, tools, home decor, things like that. So we're expanding all the time. I think it's probably best if you kind of just send me a message, register with us, and then let me know what you're interested in. I can definitely look it up to see what we offer. So we don't offer everything. And I think the best thing to do is just go into the app and kind of scroll through what's currently offered. That's probably like the most up to date. There's not like a mailing or something like that, but we're expanding in all sorts of categories. And that's some really exciting areas. I mean, like Lance is familiar with those pallet pulls, right? I mean, it's not just apparel. They're return items and excess items from all over. It could be cosmetics. It could be other items, camping equipment, things like that. Oh, sporting goods is a huge, huge category for us, sporting goods.
Ralph also asked another really interesting question I think is good for everybody to know who's listening to this. How does feedback work for live sellers compared to just say your standard, eBay sale?
Everything's tied together. Everything's tied together. So it's really important for you to increase, maintain, better your feedback rating through live and through your, standard, your marketplace, your eBay, what we call core versus live. So your core, you want to make sure you maintain that high rating. When you go to live, that feedback rating, all your sales feeds that right back into your seller ID. So you want to make sure that you keep that up.
Perfect. There is a couple of questions as well around individual sellers that I think also just pushing this on the eBay team. So I'm sorry for pushing you guys on the spot here. One is from Carly around, being a small seller with, a significant amount of inventory. Do you really feel like a production team is required to sell for live, or do you think that's something that you can do just by yourself to get things out the door?
I think I mentioned that before. You can have one person, one or two people. Two people would be ideal. I have sellers that they're doing it in their garage. They're doing it in a small corner of their living room, that type of thing. It's really nice to have at least, maybe put some bookshelves behind you and put your merchandise there, kind of have it there so people can point out, well, what about that item over there on that shelf? Can you ask, what about that red handbag, or what's that on that ledge, that type of thing. So there's not a huge production involved. You can, if you want. I mean, that was amazing walking through that warehouse. I mean, I've seen footage of warehouses where they're just, chock full of beauty products. And then he's like, I've got that warehouse, but we have small sellers also, large and small. Like I mentioned about the father-daughter duo that's selling items, Yeah, definitely. But it's really good to have a second person because then they can read the chat. Like Justin's helping to read the chat here, and a couple of folks here. We can't keep up with it. It's nice to have somebody so you can interact. Oh, I've got Paula that's asking this, or, Bob, you're next, after Paula, that kind of thing. And then you can kind of queue up the merchandise that you're going to show.
I think that's great. A really great point. And maybe we'll pivot this to Lance here, because I think this is a really interesting idea to discuss is, we understand that there are these chats coming through, these things happening kind of at time. They're like, this is not a delayed thing. It's not got an order and you saw it 3 hours later type of thing. Lance, do you work with another person, or do you work through that yourself? And do you feel comfortable doing those things? And how do you feel like that's the best way to approach it?
I love it. I say this, it's the best thing in the entire world. I get to talk the whole time and you can never talk back at me. You can only chat. So it's just, I love it. I read all my chats. I try to cater as much as I can. I like to get my flow of the sales going. I like to keep the sales going. That's the revenue. But I like to have fun. I try to get my chat room to have conversations within the chats with each other. I ask people where they're from when it's a little slower, what's the weather, and really build some rapport with them. And like you guys are selling, if I had 10,000 of the chains and the fake hair, man, I'd be selling those things left and right. Everybody pops into my show. Can I buy that? Can I buy that from you? The one thing with the chats, I'll really get involved sometimes. People are like, oh, he doesn't read the chats enough. I'm like, you've got to be fast. If you're fast, you've got to also be really good at the chats. Because if you get behind and a lot of people are talking, they'll get into crazy conversations. And, you're trying to read the one that's asking to do something. But like she said, people always just pointing on stuff. You're doing general merchandise. and you can skip through and grab whatever you want for that particular buyer. And they're always, the biggest one's always, I got to get back to work. My boss is going to get me. Can you pull that one right behind you? I really need to go. So they're really good at winning me over on pulling products for them.
I think that's great. And I'm going to try and rush a little bit because I want to make sure that we're respectful of everybody's time, but we have a ton of comments, which I think is great, and we'll stay as long as we need to, and we can also respond to everybody separately. Carly came back with another great question in terms of working offline versus somebody not. Can you have moderators, somebody that can help versus just everybody in person reading off of the screen? As in somebody's in a different house and they're helping you with your chats.
No, they would have to be part of it. They would have to be logged into your account and part of that experience. I don't think you can have helpers logging in other locations to help you moderate a chat. I don't believe you can do that.
And Lance, I think we'll share your contact. I think for any of these sellers that are looking to get started and they need a guest host or someone to help them get started, I think you would be interested in engaging with some of these folks.
I would love it. Yeah, anything I could help, and coaching some people along. It's. I mean, I don't think it's hard, but I've been doing it so long, but I do understand. I mean, it takes some skill to get this down and get it moving, and build your following and your audience. So yeah, it's I'm always available, and it's fantastic. So I like to share my experience.
Great. I'm going to try and work in one more question here before we run out of time. Ralph, you've asked a number of questions. I appreciate that, and we will make sure that we reach out to you personally to answer as best as we can with those questions. So thank you, and feel free to have a dialogue with us about all of those, because we would love to be a part of this with you, and I'm sure the folks at eBay would as well. There was one more that I thought was really, really interesting as we, even though we're in June, we're looking forward to the holiday season. And that is, does eBay have any plans for expanding or doing anything different with live during the holiday season?
So what we did for the last holiday season is that we had a holiday studio. So we invited some sellers to participate in that. And we did do a holiday event. And I'm sure we'll have something like that coming up. We've had certain events, like I think in March, we had a 2-day event, which we were offering a very low final value fee, seller fee for that. So we have something going on all the time. So if you're interested in becoming a special event seller, I should back up. We do hope that you will sell at least 2 to 3 times a week, because it's really the cadence of having a regular show that helps build that momentum. I don't want you to think that, every 3 months you'll pop in and just turn it on and then be able to have an audience sitting there. And I think Lance is agreeing with me here in that you do have to have this commitment that you'll have this show continuously. But if you're interested in becoming a special, like a special offering, like holiday decor or something like that, just reach out to me.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rebecca. I think this has been a really nice way to approach all this. The questions were excellent today. I think everybody who deals with eBay is excited about eBay Live. And so anybody that we did not get to, we have a list of all the questions. I know there was a number of them. We will make sure that they are addressed by us, within the next 24 hours. So thank you so much for doing so. Just to wrap, I'm going to pass it back off to Richard to close it all out, and then everybody else can go from there.
Thank you, John. Lance, special thank you to you. Appreciate the time this afternoon, and a really great insight on how to run an eBay Live event. Rebecca and Justin, thank you for coordinating with us to have another great webinar. So really appreciate everyone's time this afternoon. As I said, we will send out a follow-up email in the next couple of days with a copy of the recording, as well as pertinent links and contacts. So if you have questions or follow-ups. And then lastly, if you do visit Auctiva.com, if there was any questions that didn't get answered related to eBay selling or Auctiva, then our support team will be happy to help you get the right information. It's pretty easy. Just find the support button in the bottom right-hand corner of the site, and we will help you out. Again, thank you, everybody, for joining. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Fun.